Good evening, folks. Today is November 2nd, 2025, and you're watching just another conversation with Mr. Unspeakable. Today we have some issues we're going to talk about. Number one issue, Israel says it received the remains of 3 hostages from Gaza as fragile ceasefire holds. Palestinian militants have released the remains of 17 hostages, with 11 remaining in Gaza. What killed more than 5 billion sea stars? The mystery solved, scientists say, off Pacific coast in North America in a decade-long pandemic. Serbia marks the anniversary of a deadly train station disaster with large rally of tens of thousands of people. Nation's largest fleet of police, Cybertrucks to patrol Las Vegas. Explosion at Harvard Medical School appears to have been intentional, authorities say. No one is hurt. Trump administration faces Monday deadline, which is tomorrow, to respond to judges' snap orders. Now, let's move on to Israeli and what they have to say. Israeli receives remains of 3 Gaza hostages. It says the remains of 3 people Hamas handed over to the Red Cross in Gaza do not belong to any hostages, Israel said Saturday, in the latest setback to U.S. broken ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. The handover followed Israel's return on Friday and the bodies of 30 Palestinians to Gaza, which completed an exchange after militants turned over remains of 2 hostages earlier in the week. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office confirmed that the remains of the 3 people did not belong to hostages. It was unclear who the remains belonged to. Now, that's just crazy. Hamas armed wing said it had offered to hand over samples on Friday of unidentified bodies, but Israel refused to ask for the remains of the examination. Now, they're saying that they handed bodies over to stop the claims of Israelis. The statement said, health officials in Gaza have struggled to identify bodies without the access to DNA kits. So they didn't have the DNA kits, so they can't access the, because otherwise they would struggle to identify the bodies. So families and supporters have rallied again on Saturday night to call for the return of all hostages. Now, I was always personally against the war and what's going on down in Palestine. I am a refugee myself, like I said before. Those poor people and what they're going through, nobody seems to really understand what is going on and why the United States is not doing much to help anybody down there. So many young kids have died. So many parents are looking for their kids who are probably buried somewhere under the rubble. And I'm really shocked. The United States, that used to be once an example to the whole world as the country who does just good, has fallen behind and simply just not doing much. And I would ask Mr. President Trump to please help those in need in Palestine. Those people don't deserve to suffer the way they do. And all those poor kids, thousands of them are probably still buried in those rubbles, and those people deserve to be a country. They deserve to have a piece of the land. They deserve to have a life like anybody else. So they're saying the families and supporters have rallied once again on Saturday night to call for the return of all hostages. While Yael Adar, mother of the late Tamir Adar, asserted to a rally in Tel Aviv that the Hamas scum are mocking us. Moran Harari, friend of the late Carmel Gat, urged Israel to have restraint during a rally in Jerusalem. Look at that poor kid. There's all tents down there, guys. It's just rubble. And showing this kid just dragging this little cart with food or whatnot is on that. And look at that city of Jerusalem. Look at that the city has just completely, completely, Israel has completely destroyed that city. There's nothing left but brick on the brick on top of the grass. Folks, that's not okay. Yes, we do have, they have, how do they help themselves? Well, you can't, because you are going against the United States, who is feeding into the Israelis' killings of innocent people down there. And it's always been an excuse. Israel always had the same excuse. Hey, the excuse is, let's just blame it on Hamas. It's very easy, right? It's yes. Is Hamas a terrorist group? Yes, it is. Do you have to bomb the crap out of all the people and the kids to prove your point? No. Hamas has nothing to do with those people. They have nothing to do with those innocent civilians who are living in those houses, crammed together in those little apartments, just trying to live their lives. There's really nothing much to it. It's very simple. And they're saying further, this cursed war has taken so many lives of dear people on both sides of the fence. This time we must not fall into it, Harari said. So they have a ceasefire, and they're saying that the ceasefire is very fragile, and any day now it could come back into the same old bombs, and more bombs, and more bombs. So, guys, the Gaza is not a very big place. It's maybe the size of a city that I live in, and those 2 million. How many? I don't know how many people live in Gaza. Are all crammed together in that small city, and uh, building. It's almost like Legos, building next to building next to building, really closely together, kind of like a small New York. You know, people lived really closely together. Everybody respected everybody. People knew each other. It was this beautiful community. People got along before Netanyahu got his dirty fingers in it and did his dirty works. And that man will pay one day for what he's done. And I wish that there are going to be people out there who are going to prosecute him one day for the crimes he's been committing. Now, let's move on with next news. Folks, in this world of science, I don't understand what happens if the sea stays completely out of sea stars. I don't know how much sea stars really mean to our ecosystem. They probably do mean a lot. I don't know. Hey, stop it. Why don't you wrap it up? Get out. Anyways, let's move on to next. Scientists say they have solved the mystery of what killed more than 5 billion sea stars. I was interested in see this because I really wanted to know how much difference do sea stars really make to our ecosystem. So they're saying, the scientists say that in, in Washington, scientists say they have at least solved the mystery of what killed more than 5 billion sea stars. That's a lot of sea stars. And I don't know, like I said, how much that really means to our ecosystem and what the sea, how much of a threat does that, um, how much of a threat that is to humanity or to the ocean if we don't have sea stars. And I guess this pandemic has been going on for a decade. They're saying it's a decade-long pandemic with these sea stars. The sea stars, often known as starfish, typically have 5 arms, and some species sport up to 24 arms. They range in color from solid orange to tapestries of orange, purple, brown, and green. Starting in 2013, Mysterious sea star wasting disease sparked a mass dive off of Mexico to Alaska. The, ep- the epidemic has devastated more than 20 species and continued today. Worst hit was a species called the sunflower sea star, which lost around 90% of its population in outbreak's first 5 years. So this pandemic has been going on for 10 years, and I just can't believe that they're just now they are starting to do something about it. So the scientists saying it is really quite gruesome, said marine disease ecologist Alyssa Gehman at the Hakai Institute in British Columbia, Canada, who helped pinpoint the cause. Healthy sea stars have puffy arms sticking straight out, she said, but the wasting disease caused them to grow lesions, and then their arms actually fall off. And there's a picture of a sea star. This one had over 20 arms, looks like. So this is a very serious disease, obviously, that Rebecca Vega Thurber, uh, a marine microbiology at the University of California in Santa Barbara, who was involved in the study, who actually said that it took more than a decade for researchers to identify the cause. It took them over 10 years to identify what the cause of this disease was that these sea stars were suffering from. I think it's important that we have people out there who are taking care of things like this. It doesn't always have to be war or politics. So we're gonna move on to see what happens next in Europe. Looks like we have something going on in Serbia. Let's see. It says Serbia marks anniversary of deadly train station disaster with large rally of tens of thousands of people in Serbia have gathered to mark a anniversary of this deadly train bombing or explosion. What happened? I've never heard about it. I've come from over there. I've never heard of that explosion, and it is terrible. From what it sounds like, 16 people have died in an explosion. It says the collapse of a concrete canopy at the Novi Sad train station last November, November 1st, which is, well, it was supposed to be yesterday. Um, I'm a little late, so they later today, but yesterday they have gotten together tens of thousands of people in Novi Sad, and they have marked the 1 year since this incident has happened to get together and just show the appreciation and the tragedy has triggered youth, led street protests, a nationwide movement demanding political changes that have seriously shaken Mr. Vucic's tight hold on power. I don't understand. I I don't know. I think Vucic still has another year to go. I think he this is his second term, I would say. The protesters believe that the concrete construction at the renovation station building in Novi Sad has collapsed because rampant corruption and nepotism in state infrastructure projects with China led to a fatal disregard of safety rules. No one has been held responsible, though 13 people have been charged. So they've had people in custody, 13 people, nobody got charged. I don't know what's going on. Why did they get? Why they couldn't catch someone? Um, it looks like they don't really have a really good investigative. I don't know. Like we have FBI here. I don't know what they have in Serbia. What it's called? It's some kind of a secret service organization that does that kind of stuff. So the university student Naja Solaya told the crowd that the disaster was a crime and a murder and not an accident. She added that had the authorities respected the law, there would not have been blood. They have blood on their hands. Ms. Solage said, using a slogan that has marked the past year of protests along with the symbolic red-colored headprints. Diana Herka, the mother of Stefan Herka, one of the victims, said she would have launched a hunger strike in Belgrade on Sunday. Ms. Herka said, "She must know who killed my child. Someone, someone must be accountable for this." That is true. Someone must be accountable for any kind of murder out there, anything of that caliber, because let's just say it didn't happen on its own. Okay, someone has to be responsible for killing 16 people last year in Serbia. And I will be talking about also about SNAP and food stamps and what's going on out there with people, and how everybody's doing without extra help. Because towards the end of the month, a lot of people have exactly the amount of money that they need saved for electricity, for gas, for the rent. A lot of people that don't have a lot of money, everything has to be organized in order for them to be able to pay their bills. Like, I'm hurting pretty bad myself, and it's gonna hurt me this year that there's no SNAP. So, or this month, I would say. Um, I I I feel terrible for the people who are going through this. Um, I do believe that President Trump has, and it says right here, Trump administration faces Monday deadline to respond judges SNAP orders, which is tomorrow. So Trump has till tomorrow to do something about this. And I really hope he does. I hope that they reopen up the government. I hope that people get the help that they need. This is not something that not everybody needs this help, and thank God they don't. But from what I heard, 42 other million people do need help, and it should end. This should have never started. It should have never happened. And shame on those politicians who have let this happen. Just terrible. I believe that this country will come around and that we will get over this terrible, I don't know what you can call this situation that we're in right now in United States of America, the most powerful, the most richest country in the world, who is actually letting their people starve, right? So it is really hard to understand who is behind all this. Why, if you guys watch 60 Minutes a day with President, he's saying it's probably not going to happen. I think that he's tried to talk to the Republicans in the next couple of days to get uh, these benefits going out to people, but it doesn't sound like it's going to happen. Now, if individual states in the United States have some kind of program that would initiate for people to get something, maybe $100 per family or 150, anything else right now, right? So if you leave people with a zero, they're gonna have a very hard time. But it's if you give people something, $50, $100 per family, it's better than nothing. It will buy potatoes, meat, chicken, just basics. You just need basics to get through. You don't need to have $1 million a day to have a great life. Happiness is something that doesn't come from money. It comes from the daily activities of daily, like it comes from how you feel as a person every day. Money has just become that symbol of happiness nowadays, and it's just not. It's nice to have money, and it does pay the bills. It does help. I'm not saying that, but We have too many billionaires in this country who are destroying everything on their way, and they don't care because they would rather spend their money on polishing their giant yachts and their giant villas, and then giving maybe money to the charity or doing something more productive with it, right? So if I was a billionaire, I would be right now, as we're speaking, I would be building um, housings or affordable housings. I would be tearing down golf courses. Because honestly, if you ask me, golf courses are kind of a waste. Just for me, a waste of space. It's nice to be playing golf. If you like golf, whatever, I don't care. But I feel like we are investing way too much space into golf. Just take that space, build something on it, take all those homeless people down on the street, and give them housing. It is very simple. It's not hard to do that. Um, Especially because last week we've given about $30 billion to Argentina. I've heard 40, and it takes about 20 billion to end homelessness in this country. And you go ahead and go figure what's going on. And I've never in my life knew really what homeless is all about until I actually came to this country back in 1990s when I was walking through a airport with my parents and my older brother, who's back in Europe right now. But I remember laying to the JFK on that day. It was 1994 August 25th, and I know it was the day before my birthday that I came here to U.S. And I just remember walking through the hallways of JFK Airport, and the lady that picked us up from the airport was driving a really nice car, one of those Mark 7s. I don't know if you guys know, but at that time that was a nice car in the 90s. But anyways, as I grabbed my mom's hand and we were walking down the JFK Airport, I see this man just one next to another. One man over here, one man over there, a lady over there. Some of them had clothes on, and some of them didn't. Some of them were missing arms and legs, and most likely, a lot of them were veterans. But I asked this lady who was my second or third cousin. I said, "What is? Why are these people sleeping on the street, on the floor? What is going on?" Like it was totally new to me. I had no idea. I mean, I was like what, 16 years old, 17. I've never seen anything like it, and it's still till this day is something that I don't understand. I've been here 30 years and I still don't understand why we have people sleeping on the streets anywhere in the United States. It shouldn't be happening anywhere. Um, we have so many billionaires that live in this country that if we would have to come up with some kind of a law for them to pay taxes and to take that money and use that money and help these folks, because you never know when it's going to hit you next. It could. Many of you out there who right now are sitting in your nice, beautiful, warm room in the wintertime next to your fireplace in your giant villa with your giant bank account, thinking, well, nothing can happen to me. Look at me. Ha ha. But guess what? It could. You could be one of those people sleeping on the street. I don't wish that to happen to you or any of you. But if you're gonna sit in that chair with all those billions and all those millions and not do anything to help anybody who's really in need of help, then I think that you should know what it's like. Take care, guys. This was just another conversation with Mr. Unspeakable, November 2nd, 2025. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for listening. And thank you to all the haters, too. And please subscribe, hit a notification button, please comment, follow, do all the things that you need to do if you can. It doesn't cost you anything. I do appreciate you being here. I really appreciate your time. Um, and you have a good evening, and thank you. Take care of each other.